At the conclusion of my speech today, each of you should be able to explain in some detail what the Georgia Guidestones are, what the major components that make up the monument, and where they're located, who made them, and what the message is engraved upon the stones, and to whom the message was intended. After extensive research, reading dozens of articles of several different credible sources, and viewing several full-length documentaries on the subject, and having been there myself in 1982, I'm now prepared to speak authoritatively on the subject of the Georgia Guidestones. Imagine, if you will, in a world of 7 billion people, some catastrophic, near extinction level event has occurred in which nearly all of the world's 7 billion inhabitants have died. Because that is exactly what has happened in the mind of R.C. Christian when he created the Georgia Guidestones. According to Rose Evans, let's see, first of all, I'm going to talk about the basic physical characteristics, what the components are, the various astronomical or astrological features, and then we'll talk about the message that's engraved on the stones. And according to Rose Evans of Smithsonian Magazine, there's very little variation between the description from one source to the other, probably because, as you'll see in the last, the description is written in stone. There are 7 major components to the Guidestones. You have the center column. There are 4 main tablets where the message is engraved, and then there's a capstone. The astrological features. The first thing you're going to notice about the center column is that there's a hole. Actually, you can see it pretty good in this picture here. If you look right there, you can see that slot. And every morning at sunrise, regardless of the time of the year, the sun will appear in that peephole. Now, in the summer, you may have to tilt this side. In the winter, you have to tilt to this side. But every morning, without fail, the sun rises exactly in the center of that hole. Also found in the center column is another hole that's bored at the exact correct angle toward the north. We look in this little peephole right here up close. And if you look through that hole, what you see is the celestial North Pole, which we know is the North Star, or Polaris. It's the only star in the northern hemisphere that doesn't appear to move as the Earth rotates underneath of the Milky Way. That covers the center one. The next item we're going to discuss is the 4 main stones facing the cardinal directions, generally north, south, east, and west. More specifically, one will point exactly to the sunrise in the summer, where the other one will point to the sunrise in the winter. As you know, the sun varies per the season. So the message is engraved on both sides of each of the main tablets in 8 different languages. The languages, if you start from the north and going around the monument clockwise, the languages are English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. These are the 4 most widely used languages in the world today. Here we go, guys. The message as contained on the monuments in English are these: maintain humanity at a mere 500 million in perfect harmony with nature. What it doesn't tell us is how we came from 7.5 billion to 500 million. And then guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity, unite humanity with a new living language. And we all know as words change their meaning over time, but this is something entirely different because this is a single language for the whole world. Rule passion, faith, tradition in all things with reason, tempered reason, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally and settling internal disputes in a world court. That certainly on the surface seems like a good thing, and it could eliminate the need for war. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Petty laws, I'm all for it. Get them out of here. The useless officials, subject to definition, who gets to decide? In this country, useless officials serve as a buffer between us and the dictatorship that would certainly rise out of that if they weren't there. Balance personal rights with social duties. This country was founded on the idea of individual rights, that there is no collective rights without the rights of the individual, so that could be certainly be a problem. Prize truth, beauty, love, and seeking harmony with the infinite. On the surface, obviously, looks like a good thing. And be not a cancer upon the earth. Leave room for nature. He said, leave room for nature. And he repeated that. And we've all heard terms in that direction, leave room for nature, because they say we're destroying the earth, right? The next thing you want to know about the Guidestone is the center, the capstone. The capstone is engraved on all four edges, each of the four edges in the four most ancient languages known to man, which are Babylonian. Where is my list? It's not on there, is it? Babylonian, Egyptian, Sanskrit, ancient Greek, and I've lost my notes. The four most ancient languages known to man. The message there is, let these be the guidelines to an age of reason. That's a thinly disguised reference to the work of Thomas Paine, which was published in 3 parts in 1795, 1797, and 1802. It's available today on Amazon as a single book. So we've talked about the basic physical characteristics, the astronomical features, and what the message is, and who the message is to be conveyed, which is the 500 million survivors. We're going to talk a little about where this is located. It's on the highest point in Elberton County in Georgia. It's about 90 miles east of Atlanta, Georgia. It sits on the farm where he had purchased the rights to set the monument on these people's farms. And in 1979, June of 1979, a man using the pseudonym of R.C. Christian entered into the Elberton Granite Polishing Company and ordered the monument made. His real name remains a mystery to this day. He insisted on it, and he comes claiming to represent a small group of concerned citizens, Americans, interested in an age of reason. So, as much as we now know about the Georgia monuments, their size, their components, the astrological features, the message that's been engraved, and to whom the audience was, we still have more questions than answers.